So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and this is my video regarding Anthony Yarde's latest fight, which was meant to be against Ricky Summers, but in the end ended up fighting a Jorge Silva, which was on the undercard of the Joyce versus Zhang 2. Now as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe and help us grow this channel even further. So Anthony, I was going to say Joshua then. Anthony Yarde captured a second round KO victory against Jorge Silva. And this was a comfortable performance for Anthony Yarde. And it's not the type of opposition which I would like to see Anthony Yarde in with, but it was his first fight back after the Beterbiev defeat, and I suppose it was a late notice replacement because he was meant to be fighting Ricky Summers, which for some reason he must have got injured and must have had to pull out last minute. And this opponent, I think, stepped in with a couple of days, give or take, notice. And his record, this Jorge Silva, was quite decent, really, give or take. He had 22 victories, 12 KOs to his name at the time, and 8 losses, with 4 of those losses were KOs as well out of the 8. He was ranked number 2 in Portugal and 274th in the world according to BoxRec. And he was a 40-year-old as well, so he was more towards the latter part of his career, but in the ring he looked in good shape, looked in good nick, but his BoxRec, you know what I mean, he'd pretty much lost, I think, 2 fights in six or 8 fights. So he lost 2 out of the last 8 fights, give or take. So again, yeah, it is what it is. As I said, late, short notice type of opponent, but going forward, it's not the type of opponent I'd like to see Anthony Yarde in with. Now, on the undercard, on the bill, there was Zach Parker. Looked pretty decent in his first comeback fight, and can't remember the opponent's name that he fought, but it was a comfortable victory for Zach Parker. Looked really good. Looked quite heavy as well for the weight, and he was calling out Anthony Yarde after the fight. Now this is the type of opponent that I'd like to see Anthony Yarde in with. Very young, hungry, and dangerous opponent. And it'd be good to maybe see how Anthony Yarde could potentially deal with someone like that. But regardless of someone like a Zach Parker, there's other, you know what I mean, good, decent opposition opponents around his weight as well, which he should be kind of trying to go after rather than fighting people like Ricky Summers. And after the fight, he was talking, saying, oh, by the end of the year, he wants to try and entice Ricky Summers into the ring, you know what I mean, and try and get that fight done that they were meant to have for this card. And they're talking about potentially October, maybe November for that, and then hopefully he'll have a little bit of rest and then come back in the new year with some big fights. But as I said, Ricky Summers or this Jorge, whatever, you know what I mean, they're not the type of opponents that I'd like to see Anthony Yarde in with. He's been in there with some two good, decent opponents, and he's lost on two occasions. Obviously, Kovalev and Beterbiev. And realistically, they're like the opposition. They're like world level, especially Beterbiev. You know what I mean? He's got 3 of the 4 major belts, and he done well against an old Beterbiev, but he's a big puncher, and that's exactly what happened in the end. But Yarde should be looking to try and entice the likes of Boatzy, Callum Smith, Dan Aziz, maybe Andre Durrell, people like that. They're the people that he needs to kind of be getting into the ring rather than a Ricky Summers. But let's wait and see, because when you're thinking of the bigger picture, obviously Anthony Yarde wants to become a world champion. And as I just mentioned, 3 of the 4 belts are owned or occupied by one boxer, which is Arthur Beterbiev, and then the other belt at the minute is which is a WBA. Dimitri Bivol has. Now, what are the chances of him beating one of them? Which we already know the outcome of what happened against Beterbiev. He lost. Now, if you tries to entice someone like a Bivol into a fight, I'd probably have to go with Bivol. I'd have to back Bivol in that fight. So his only chance I should say, of becoming a world champion at 175 pounds is quite slim at the minute. He's got an opportunity to potentially, because he's a big boy, he's carrying quite a bit of muscle. Can he make that transition to 200 pounds, a cruiserweight division? So you know what I mean. You are looking at a 25 pound difference between his current weight category of light heavy to the next category. But I feel as if he could potentially do that. And the champions, the champions currently today, you got Chris Billum Smith, Jaya Pataya, Badu Jack, and a Arsene Goumali, whatever, butchered his name. But I'll probably back a Yard versus Badu Jack and the WBA guy, Arsene Goubli, whatever his name is. So I'll probably back him against one of those two, but against Jai Apataya or Chris Billon Smith, I don't know. I don't know, because I'm not sure if they'd be a bit too big for him. I don't know, but he's certainly got the skills to potentially, and the youth to beat the other two guys as well. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Who would you like to see Anthony Yarde next? And if you can't be in with a big fight next, who would you like him? Like, what three opponents would you like him to be in with next year? As always, please subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Bless.